Hi, everyone. Michelle Palmer here with you today. And we are going to do a little anatomy discovery tour of where our kidneys are in our body and then learn how to find them in our own body. The importance is of this is that we just get to know elements of our body, and the kidney energy and the kidneys themselves have such a dynamic relationship with the heart space in the body. We often forget about the kidneys, and they get left sort of in the background. So the kidney provides us with the essence of who we are to go out into the world, and um, just by nature of stress and life itself can really impact how the kidney energy moves through our body and our ability to move out into the world and also find and discover rest. As we know, the kidneys are such a big part, actually, the adrenal glands sitting on top of the kidneys are such a big part of our stress response. And so we speak so much about open heartedness, but I love the idea of open heart, restful kidneys. So when the kidneys are in a very rested space, they have the capacity to rise and meet the challenges of life, stress, whatever happens, and then be able to drop back down into a nice restful space. However, with the chronicity of stress in life and how we live our life, that we often get stuck in a pattern and the energy gets magnified, organized, and sort of becomes a self perpetuation that just keeps the flow of adrenaline and cortisol in the body. So, learning to pay attention to our kidneys is very valuable. So, I have Bones here with me. I thought I'd take you on a little bit of a sort of show and tell. So, we have the sacrum in the back of the body here. And we have your ilium on either side, which we know from our pelvic classes. And then you have your lumbar spine, so 5 lower lumbar vertebrae, that then weaves its way into what is the thoracic spine here, which is that part of our spine that rotates and also has all of the ribs. This is often called a rib cage, but I prefer the idea of a rib basket. The bottom of the ribs have a couple of what are called floating ribs at the bottom, where they don't swing all the way around and attach to cartilage or the sternum in the front. And just below and slightly in front of the lowest rib is where your kidneys reside on either side of the spine. I have this little it's a uterus, not a kidney. We know where my allegiance is to the pelvis. So this is a little uterus, but I'm going to act like it's a kidney, which is basically the size of your fist. And the kidney sits and lives basically right here in this space. Let's see if I can bring this up a little bit closer so you can see it. So the kidneys live just in front of the rib and also slightly in the space of it. Now the kidneys have this potential of moving up and down quite a lot, up to 2 inches in some people because of where they're positioned. The breathing diaphragm is located just above here. And so when we breathe, there's a lot of excursion, which is basically the rise and fall of the diaphragm. So as we inhale, the diaphragm contracts and presses down, which will press down in this area of the kidney and the rest of the organs and causes everything to drop down. And then when we exhale, everything softens and rises back up again. But like anything, the organs can kind of get fixated or stuck in certain positions. And then when things get stuck and they don't have their natural inherent movement, then it starts to affect their function. So again, I mentioned stress and what that does to the body. So um, if we're in sort of a chronic stress or contracted state, the kidneys will often kind of get sucked up a little bit higher underneath the ribs and then also a little bit more anterior towards the front of the body. I'm going to move Bones out of the way. So our next exploration together is to be able to locate this in our own body. So take your hands and rub them together. We're going to warm them up because the kidneys don't love being cold. They really like a sense of warmth. In fact, they'll migrate a little bit more towards the warmth. Cold causes them to shrink up and shift forward into the body. So once your hands have been nice and warm, we're going to take our hands to the back of our body, to the small of our back, just beneath those, the 12th rib. And there's almost like the perfect spot. It's as if the body was perfectly crafted to fit the palm of your hand, and this is where the kidney resides. So you can use your fingertips to find the spine, and then know that a couple of finger widths out is where the kidneys reside. You can take your other hand and place it in the front of your body, right, quite opposite, just sort of below your lowest ribs, and it's in this space between the two hands that the kidneys live, and that's where they move around. So, depending upon how you're standing, you might actually sense and feel the movement of the breath. You can try that now and see if you feel even breath moving down into the kidneys. Sometimes, depending upon our posture, it can be a little bit harder to find that. But just even knowing that sense of connection is the first step. Awareness is always the first step. So we will continue on our journey of the discovery of the kidneys together, and I'll have a couple more videos to follow up with this. Thank you so much, and enjoy the process of finding, experiencing, and become aware of the space of the kidneys.